Hi, everybody. Welcome um, to Improving Your Community. So if you haven't met me yet, my name is Michelle Nagel, and I am so grateful that you decided to come today to learn more about improving your health and your relationships. And your health is so dependent upon the community that we have. We don't have a tendency not to think that it's that big a deal, but it really is. And I have had an experience recently where community actually saved my life. If it had not been for community, I don't think I could have survived the last year and a half, which has really been traumatic for me. And so we're going to be talking about how important community is. And if you have any comments, then put them in the chat box, and I will do my very best to respond to them as quickly as I possibly can, while still being able to give you the information that you need. So who am I? I'm Michelle Nagel, as I said, and I am the best-selling author of Suffering is Optional, Step Out of Darkness into the Light, and the international best-selling author of The Light at the End of the Funnel. And I am now working on another book, which has a really fun title that everybody seems to love, and that will be coming out in hopefully within the next 6 months, because I still have to write it. So what is community? Community can be any number of things. It can be your family, it can be the community that you live in, it can be your church, it can be your school, it can be your group of friends, it can be people that you've known for years and years and years. Community is the people who you surround yourself with. And I'm going to share my screen with you and get on to the actual PowerPoint part of this. So hang on while I always have to figure this out every single time. So hang on. Let's see, there's the PowerPoint and share. And okay, come on. Where is okay, begin the slideshow. You know, everything comes up at the top and it ends up being a problem here. So please be patient with me. I do appreciate you being patient with me. Okay, there we go. So the importance of community is what we're going to be talking about today. And too often when we discuss mental health is also includes your overall emotional and mental well-being, which includes both positive and negative aspects. And we often think about mental health. When we think about it, we think of, like, you know, being mentally ill. That's where our brains automatically go. It's like, oh, am I mentally ill? So it's really important that we talk about that is both positive and negative aspects, which is your mental health. So just as your physical health needs ongoing care, your measures can be taken to improve your positive mental health as well. So by nurturing our mental health, we can handle stress more effectively, recover from setbacks more quickly, sleep better, and heal faster. We talk about sleep all the time, and people say, oh, I just get a few hours of sleep, I don't need much. You really do, because when you get into the deep states of REM, that's where the body repair takes place. And if you have a night that goes through where you're being interrupted by a dog or children or difficult things that keep coming up in your mental and emotional state, then you're not going to get the sleep that you need, which then begins to deteriorate your body and your health. So by nurturing our mental health, you can deal with the stress more effectively. And there's lots of ways to boost your mental health through self-care and practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness is a buzzword, but people don't really know exactly how to do it. So today, though, we're going to be talking about the power of connecting to our community of friends and family to maintain that positive mental health. So mental health influences so many aspects of our daily life, from how you think, feel, and behave, which are the only things that you can control, by the way. When you're doing the 100% responsibility for your life, the only things that you can control is how you think, you feel, and behave. Your mental state also affects the ability to cope with stress, overcome challenges, build relationships, and recover from life's setbacks and hardships. And there's plenty of things you can do to take care of your mental health, starting with building strong relationships. Good mental health isn't just the absence of mental health problems. Mental health refers to the presence of positive characteristics rather than being free of depression, anxiety, or other psychological issues. And so characteristics of a positive mental health include contentment, the ability to laugh and have fun, the ability to bounce back from adversity or to have resilience, a sense of meaning and purpose, flexibility to learn new things and adapt to change, and the presence of self-confidence. In today's tech-driven world, it's easy to forget the importance of personal relationships. We think we've got hundreds of followers or, quote, friends on Facebook, but that's not community. That really isn't, because of all of those hundreds of, quote, friends on Facebook, how many of them do you actually know anything about other than what they post on Facebook? So the Mental Health Foundation defines relationships as the way in which two or more people are connected or the state of being connected. Interest in building and maintaining good relationships is crucial for achieving positive mental health. By doing this, we strengthen our own mental health and help others grow too. People who are socially connected to their community of family and friends are happier, physically healthier, and suffer fewer mental health problems than people who are less connected. So taking part in close relationships can give us a purpose and a sense of belonging that will positively impact our mental health. They have done studies and discovered that people who have addictions not because of mental health issues as much as it is because of lack of community, because they're not connected. The Mental Health Foundation completed a review of 148 studies on health and social relationships. In their findings, they concluded that a lack of social relationships could be just as debilitating to health as smoking, physical inactivity, and obesity. The organization urges physicians, health professionals, and educators to take social relationships as seriously as other risk factors when it comes to prevention of illness. A study by Harvard University followed over 700 participants in an attempt to determine what makes us happy. Key results reported that happiness and health aren't a result of wealth, fame, or working hard, but come instead from our relationships. I actually know several people who are millionaires and they're not very happy. So it isn't the money that'll do it for you. The company of others is essential to our well-being. We are social creatures with emotional needs for relationships and positive connection to others. Without them, that is where our mental, physical, and emotional well-being can be damaged. Even if we are shy or untrusting of others, our brain craves companionship, and nothing can beat the stress-busting, mood-boosting power of quality face-to-face time with other people. Social media and phone calls are a great way to stay in touch with family and friends, but in-person connections are crucial to maintaining positive mental health. You both need someone who's a good listener, as well as to be a good listener in return. Someone you know and can trust to listen to the feelings behind your words and won't interrupt, judge, or criticize you. One reason face-to-face interactions are so important is that we all communicate through body language. Therefore, some of your messages may be lost during a phone conversation or text. How many times have you had a text conversation with somebody where they did not understand the nuances of what it was you were trying to say and got their nose completely bent out of shape? That happens all the time. No matter how meticulous you are in trying to figure out exactly how to word that text or that email, somebody is going to misunderstand what it is that you say. Which is why I like when I'm working with my clients or when I'm having conversations with friends, I prefer to do it. If I have to do it over technology, I prefer to do it by way of Zoom so that I can see people's faces. Some of your messages may be lost. Nonverbal cues can indicate different thoughts and feelings, which help immensely to prevent others from misinterpreting what it is you're speaking about. Some days it can be a struggle to find the time to connect with others in person. Even if those people live in your same house, you need to actually connect with them. So if you and your loved ones or friends lead busy lives, offer to run errands or exercise together. These are a couple of great ways to keep face-to-face interactions going in your life. We never want to get cut off too long from interacting to keep our connections with others strong. Relationships take work. Yes, that's just the way it is. But the work that you do to maintain good, healthy relationships with other people will make you live longer. So that's kind of worth it, I think. In this world, we know that it's a race against time, and the important people in our life can't always stop what they're doing to make time for us. So here's a couple of great ideas to expand your community and build yourself up and others in the process. When you don't have anyone to call, try getting to know an acquaintance better. Making new friends can be tough for everyone. Maybe you can be the one to break the ice, invite a coworker out for lunch, or ask a neighbor to join you for coffee or tea or soda at someplace. Join a networking, social, or special interest group is a great opportunity to meet people with common interests. Don't be afraid to smile and say hello to strangers that you cross paths with. We tend to place too much importance on romantic relationships. The truth is, friends are more important to happiness and well-being than anything physical. Research shows that meaningful friendships are powerful factors when it comes to our psychological welfare. A recent Swedish study even found friends are tied to longevity. In the absence of a meaningful social connection, our health suffers much in the same way as living a sedentary lifestyle. There are countless benefits of developing and maintaining friendships. A good friend can help keep you lifted and elevate your mood. Friends can be a source of encouragement to help you reach your goals, and additionally, having an active social life can bolster your immune system and help reduce isolation, a major contributing factor for depression. When you're depressed, you don't want to hang out with people, right? So hang out with people, and it will make it so you're not so depressed. Friendship is a two-way street. The more you give and the more you contribute to your own sense of self-worth. Helping others can make you feel needed and adds purpose to your life. So it's important to understand how relationships feel. No matter how much you have in common with someone, if being around them doesn't make you feel happy, you probably won't get much out of the relationship. And you need to look at the fact that if you're not happy, it's not their fault. Our happiness is 100% in our hands, not theirs. Friendships work both ways. In addition to feeling supported by someone, you must also feel comfortable supporting them. Friendships require acceptance, loyalty, and trust. When making new friends, look for somebody who shows genuine interest in your life, the things you say, how you think and feel, is accepting of who you are, listens attentively without judgment, and feels comfortable sharing things about themselves with you. Also, I would suggest that you find somebody who uplifts you rather than sitting around in the Ain't It Awful Club. So after spending time with someone or a group of people, ask yourself the following questions. Number 1, do I feel better after spending time with this person? Number 2, am I myself around this person? Number 3, do I feel secure, or do I feel like I have to watch what I say and do? Number 4, is the person supportive and treats me with respect? And number 5, is this a person I can trust? Those are all really important questions. Social support systems include anyone we trust and can go to for help, advice, or any other type of emotional support. Having a strong social support system is vital to maintaining and building positive mental health. Our social support helps to increase mental health by alleviating stress, increasing self-confidence, and decreasing feelings of loneliness. Having support can help us get through life's tough situations or even provide ideas or recommendations for how to overcome life challenges. Furthermore, feeling loved and valued increases self-confidence and self-esteem, which contributes to good mental health. Social support systems can also be fun. Participating in an activity or just having a chat about what's going on in life decreases the risk of feeling isolated or bored, which are traits associated with mental health conditions such as depression. They've done a study on rats and discovered that when you put a rat isolated in a cage with a bottle of water and a bottle of cocaine or heroin, the rat will almost 100% of the time overdose on the drug. But when they put the rats in what they call, I think it was rat heaven or something like that, rat park, it was rat park, which was rat heaven. They had colored balls, they had lots of food, they had lots and lots of friends there, and they could do anything they wanted, those rats could. And those rats very rarely chose the drugged water. They almost always chose the regular water. And nobody ever overdosed, and nobody ever harmed themselves because they didn't feel isolated. They had that lovely community, and we need that too. We are not rats. So how do you develop a strong social support system? Many friendships grow out of shared activities and interests, so think about things you enjoy doing. Trying a new activity can provide a time for bonding too. I just had a cousins camp with my grandchildren, and we did what is called laughter yoga, and it was so much fun. And when you do that, it makes you feel better. So fear is very common when trying something new. So if you're doing something for the first time, chances are others will either be feeling the same thing as you felt or felt that way at some point. We all fear rejection, but really rejection doesn't have to hurt. With an understanding that we only have control over our own feelings and our own actions, we can choose not to dwell on the negative feelings associated with failings at something new. There are so many ways to strengthen your bond with current friends or develop new ones, and here are some ideas, maybe something you haven't tried recently. You can join a local walking group or a scrapbook meetup. You can volunteer to clean up the beach or walk dogs in a shelter or clean up the riverfront or whatever park maybe. If you're more of an adventure seeker, look for a local zipline trail. You can always go to REI. They've always got activities there for you to be able to do. Just join a group there. If you're creative, try a painting with a twist evening. Bring a group of new acquaintances together by planning an escape room event. Those are so fun. And maybe there's a tour that you wanted to try. So go check it out. Invite somebody to go with you. Whatever it is, be sure to engage with others and see if you make any connections. Don't go and sit in the corner and wait for somebody to come to you. They're feeling just as nervous as you are. So go and be courageous and be the first one to go talk to them first. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Carl Jung said that. I love this quote because it eloquently states the positive reaction we can experience when we connect with someone. They may forget what you say, but they will never forget how you made them feel, is Carl W. Buchner. I think we can all relate to this one. So how many conversations have you walked away from not remembering the exact words exchanged, but having a strong positive or negative feeling because of the interaction? You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Dale Carnegie. So this is the best advice I've come across for making new friends and sustaining current relationships. We all have a story to share, but you must be willing to hear somebody else's in order to have yours heard. And nobody can hurt me without my permission. Mahatma Gandhi. This is the perfect illustration of fearing rejection. You have control of how you feel, and you don't have to give that away. So which of these quotes resonated with you the most? Remember, when you make an effort to do something and somebody rejects you, you didn't lose anything. not anything at all. So as an example, let's imagine that you just applied to go to Harvard and you've never gone to Harvard before, never been there. It's just something you thought you wanted to try. So you go and you put in your application to Harvard and they reject you. And oh my goodness, now all of a sudden you're heartbroken and you're all upset because you didn't get accepted at Harvard. Well, you weren't accepted at Harvard when you put in the application, so you haven't lost anything. And what you have done is perhaps gained a greater understanding of maybe you didn't really want to go there, or maybe you need to do something else in order to make your application more attractive. But regardless, you didn't lose anything. So it just depends on how you look at it. Also, say you want to interact with somebody. Maybe you want to go on a date with somebody. So you go and you think, well, that's a really cute person. I want to go ask them out for a date. And you or work up the energy to go ask them out for a date. And you say, hey, you want to go out with me? And they look at you and say, no, I don't think so. And you're crushed. You're so upset. Well, you didn't lose anything. They weren't dating you before, and now they're not dating you now. So you still haven't lost anything. So it depends entirely upon how you choose to look at whatever it is that happens in your life. So having the ability to communicate, close relationships take a long time to develop, but even more time to deepen. You know, the people that go and start relationships with people and it like accelerates really, really quickly to an intimate relationship, that's not a real relationship. It doesn't have the depth necessary to survive. In order to nurture connections, you have to know how to be a good friend back. So try to be the kind of friend that you would like to have. Be thoughtful, be reliable, trustworthy, and willing to share yourself and your time. You cannot be friends with somebody if you're not willing to give them time. We all need space, so avoid being clingy or needy. Don't set rules or expectations and allow relationships to evolve naturally. Remember, nobody is perfect. I'm certain that's a real shock to you, but forgiveness can go a long way. And of course, that was me being sarcastic. I apologize. Forgiveness can go a long way when cultivating new relationships as well as maintaining longer ones. So keep in mind, working through conflict can help deepen bonds too. This is especially important in personal relationships, in family relationships. Working through conflict can deepen those bonds. You don't automatically jettison a relationship because you say it's toxic. Toxic is a label that we have a tendency to love, and it's not right. It may be a challenging relationship that you may have with a family member, but working through the conflict can deepen those bonds. A very important one is to be a good communicator. Listen and support others just as you want them to listen and support you. So having the ability to communicate is key to healthy relationships, and too often talking is mistaken for communicating. Talking certainly is important when it comes to communication. However, listening and nonverbal cues such as body language also play a big role in communication. So here are a few tips on being a better communicator. Be a good listener. Know when to give input or feedback. Mediate when in a group setting and friends are misunderstanding each other. It doesn't mean being angry or anything. It just means trying to help each other understand each other. Keep your responses simple and succinct. We can all blather on for hours, but sometimes we never even talk about what it is we were starting to talk about in the first place. So kind of try to stay on track. That'll help a great deal. Unless of course it is a setting where you are just wanting to have that kind of surface connection. But this is what we're talking about, the connection with community. We're talking about getting deeper into having deeper connections. Don't be the person who needs to comment on everything, and be positive and nod along as others are speaking. Pay attention. Put your phone away. I have friends that I really am so grateful. They are so wonderful and so respectful. It's when we get together, the phones get put away so that we can connect with each other, we can look in each other's eyes, we can pay attention to the gist of the conversation. Validate what you're being told before sharing your perspective. That lets the person know that you actually heard them, which is really important. Listening is perhaps the greatest key to communication. How many times have you spoken with someone and you were forming your response in your head or planning dinner while they were in the midst of their story? It happens to all of us. Unfortunately, this doesn't make for good communication. Start by offering people your undivided attention. Eye contact is essential for effective communication. Be attentive by being present in the conversation. When you actually look at somebody who's talking to you and they know that they've got your undivided attention, that is the greatest gift that you can give people. Listen without judgment or criticism. You might know the answer. You might know how to solve the biggest problem in their life, but that's not what they need. What they need is for you to listen. Don't jump to conclusions or insert yourself into the speaker's thoughts or feelings. Let the speaker finish their thoughts without interruption. As you're listening, try to picture what the speaker is saying, and this will help keep you focused and not allow your thoughts to drift. Avoid offering solutions. Sometimes you're just there to listen while others vent. Interrupting to give your input can send a negative impression, even if you're just trying to help. And wait for the speaker to pause before asking clarifying questions, and ask questions only to ensure understanding. During every interaction we have with others, we're constantly giving and receiving nonverbal signals. The way we sit, how fast or how loud we talk, how close we stand, and how much eye contact we make are all nonverbal cues we use to communicate how we are feeling and whether or not we are listening. In fact, there are many times when what comes out of your mouth and what you communicate through your body language are two different things. Most people respond based off nonverbal cues over spoken language because it's a natural, unconscious language that broadcasts your true feelings and intentions. The way you listen, look, move, and react tells others whether or not you care, if you're truthful, and how well you're listening. To become a better communicator, it's essential to become more in tune with the body language and nonverbal cues of others as well as your own. The interesting thing about body language is that you can't fake it. You can't, I tried really hard. I once listened to, her name is Linda. She is the world's foremost body language expert, and the CIA and the FBI call her in all the time as a consultant in their most difficult and challenging cases because she can read people like a book. It's really scary how she can do that. And I was at a meeting and I knew that she was a body language expert, so I was careful to make sure my shoulders were squared, and I was sitting up and I was looking at her attentively, and I was taking notes, and I was being very conscious of how I looked and how my body was. She spent probably half an hour in front of the room walking back and forth and observing the entire room. And she would point at somebody and have them stand up, and she would make comment about what kind of personality they were. And she was right on every single time. And all she did was get it from the body language. And I had raised my hand a couple of times, but she never called me. And so when she was done with her presentation, she went to the back of the room, and I went to go talk to her. And I walked up, and I'm still being really careful. I've got my shoulders back. I'm walking with what I thought was confidence. And I walked up and I said, "Hi, Linda, can I ask you a question?" And she just turned around and looked at me and she said, "Girl, you are so broken. And I just burst into tears. I could not fool her. And we can't fool people, because if we stand in front of them and we're saying, we're standing with our arms crossed across our chest, and we're saying to them, well, I think that's a wonderful idea. Yes, let's implement that as soon as we can. Your crossed arms is saying, no, I'm not on board with this at all, and I am not going to have anything to do with your suggestion. And on top of that, I think it's rather stupid. So our nonverbal body language, what we do with our hands, what we do with our face, what our eyes say, you know, you can smile all day long with your mouth, but until that smile reaches your eyes, you're not really smiling. And we all try to do that. We all try to fake, oh, I'm really depressed, I'm really upset, but I'm going to smile, darn it, and I'm going to get through it. But your eyes don't smile. And that's what people are able to read, because that's what human beings usually look at the eyes first. So it's really important to understand your body language. So there are many different types of nonverbal means of communication. Facial expressions, as I mentioned, can be very telling. We can express countless emotions without saying a word. Facial expressions are universal. Expressions for happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, fear, and disgust are the same across cultures. Although, sometimes you need to be a little bit careful, because I could be standing there with my arms crossed and you think I'm angry or upset when really I'm just freezing to death. So you do need to kind of get more than one verbal cue in order to understand what's going on. Body movements and postures communicate a wealth of information to the world. From the way we sit to the way we carry ourselves. Nonverbal communication includes your posture, stance, and subtle movements. Hand gestures are often unconscious expressions and can differ across cultures. And we can tell a lot about someone through touch. We usually use some form of touch when greeting each other, either in the form of handshake or a hug. Similarly, space is extremely telling and very important for communicating. So if you ever watch children playing, they often have very little sense of personal space and get right in each other's faces. It's rare to see adults engage so closely. We all have different levels of comfort when it comes to personal space. Physical space can be used to communicate many different nonverbal messages, including signals of intimacy and affection, aggression, and dominance. If somebody is being that close to somebody else, but they're not touching, and yet they're getting close into their physical intimate space, you can just, there's no fooling you. You know that something's going on between those two. Stress compromises our ability to communicate, causing us to misread other people or send confusing or off-putting nonverbal signals. When we're upset or stressed, we can make others feel the same, thus making a bad situation worse. How many times have you walked into a room and knew instantly that somebody in that room was upset? It's like walking in and bumping into a porcupine. Somebody is prickly. So when you're upset and stressed and you don't want to make others feel the same and make the situation worse, then take a step back and recollect your thoughts. And once you've regained your emotional equilibrium, you'd be better equipped to deal with the situation in a positive way. So a quick and easy stress relieving technique is simply to close your eyes and take 3 deep, calming breaths. This will help you reset your mindset and help calm you quickly. And you breathe all the way into your belly. You don't just expand your lungs, but breathe all the way into your belly. And imagine that you've got a beautiful pool right behind your navel, and that the air is kind of slithering down your spine and landing in that pool and causing beautiful, calming ripples. Being aware of your emotions and how they influence you will help signal more accurate nonverbal cues. It's also crucial to be able to read the emotions of others to recognize the true feelings behind the cues they're sending. One way you can increase your level of self-awareness is through regular meditation practice. The more you practice, the more comfortable you will become with your emotions. With regular practice, you can change the neural pathways in your brain that will deepen your confidence, resilience, and emotional control. So a great beginner meditation video, you can find them on YouTube. They're really wonderful that to be able to cause you to connect with your emotions. And a lot of people have difficulty with meditation because they've got squirrel brain is what I call it. Is you'll sit down and you deep breathe and you get into your belly and you're sitting there calmly, and all of a sudden a thought will race across the stage of your mind, and instead of just going, oh, hello, and letting that thought go, we engage with it. So I have a mentor, his name is Dr. Mark Atkinson, and what he suggests you do is when you have those thoughts that come up, you simply say, oh, hello, that's interesting, I see you, and then let them go. It's the engaging, it's the following that thought down into the rabbit hole that causes so much trouble. And meditation is not supposed to be a total blank brain. I don't know anybody who can actually achieve a total blank brain. Meditation is just seeing what comes up, saying, I see you, I welcome you, and let it go. Even if it's a negative feeling, a negative emotion, I see you, welcome. And then it'll go away. Because our emotions are just like little children. Have you ever seen the little kids who just want your attention, and they keep calling you by name? If you happen to be a mother, they'll go, mommy, 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 mommy. And I had one of my children do that once. Mom, 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 mom. And I finally got frustrated and I said, what? And she looked so hurt. She said, I love you, mommy. So all they want is attention. They just want to be acknowledged, and then they'll move on across the stage of your mind. It's when we chase it down the rabbit hole that is the problem. So here's some final tips on improving your relationships. Give your attention to other people. Practice generosity. Do something for somebody else without expecting anything back. Treasure and protect your friendship. Commit to teamwork at home and work. Love others unconditionally. That's kind of a challenging one, but it's an important one. Be open to change. Always be respectful. Practice forgiveness. Somebody is going to step on your toes, I promise. Or worse yet, step on your heart. Practice forgiveness. Let go of anger, and don't make excuses. So I just shared a whole lot of information, and I hope everybody has found at least one useful takeaway from today's class. And I'd like to leave you with one final quote. Relationships of all kinds are like sand held in your hand. Held loosely with an open hand, the sand remains where it is. The minute you close your hand and squeeze tightly to hold on, the sand trickles through your fingers. You may hold on to some of it, but most will be spilled. A relationship is like that. Held loosely with respect and freedom for the other person, it is likely to remain intact. But hold too tightly, too possessively, and the relationship slips away and is lost. That's by Khalil Jameson. So thank you very much for having this experience in my class. And I love sharing the importance of building a strong community of friends and family. And positive mental health is rarely discussed, but cannot be overlooked. And you've all been a fantastic group, and I hope you get as much from this class as I did from you all. My final story is, I had mentioned before that I don't think that I could have made it through the past 18 months if it had not been for my community. And I would like to share a closing story with you. 18 months ago, the most horrific tragedy took place in my life, a betrayal that broke my heart and crushed me. And I was so wounded and so broken that I could not function. And I had a group of friends in my community who knew what had happened, and they would reach out to me and they would just let me know that they were there. People that I was not expecting would just show up and say, hi, let's go for a walk. Or I really want to go out to lunch. You want to come with me? Or, you know, I felt so incredibly pathetic because I was so incredibly broken, and you know, I coach people for a living, for crying out loud. So here I am trying to figure out, like, why can't I fix myself? Because I help other people fix their problems. Why can't I fix mine? Because it's too personal, because it's too much right here, because it's so raw and so painful, and all you want to do is get away from the pain. And so my community held me. They held me and they saved me from the darkest night that went on for 18 months in my entire life. Community can save you too. It's important that you don't shut yourself off. I made a choice. It's like all these people are coming toward me. I could have turned my back on them. I could have said, no, leave me alone, go away. You know, this hurts so much, I can't function, I don't want to move, just leave me alone. I could have done that. But I made a choice to allow them to serve me, because it blessed them as well as blessing me. And again, it saved my life. So I hope that you improve your relationships. Don't give up on your family either. You know, when we live in families, we are in the position to hurt people more than any other person, because we say and do things that we wouldn't do to somebody that we work with, but we do them to our families. And don't give up on your family, because family is very important. And the growth that you receive by learning how to navigate that relationship is going to make your life so much better than it would if you just bailed and abandoned the whole thing. Thank you so much again for coming. And if you want to connect with me, you can go to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/speaker Michelle Nagel, or michelle@isoulshift.com. And I would love to have a conversation with you and see if there's any way that I can help you. So have a marvelous day, and thanks again for coming. Bye.